So this is sort of the tricky part, right? Because we have the skull drawn in there and we've got lines and things that we need to kind of blend. But we're looking at the muscles right now. And I'm going to actually present my screen here so I can see bigger. All right, so it's a good idea I would just start from one section and move from one section to the next. So I'm going to actually start with her orbital muscles around her eyes. And the first thing I'm noticing is that there's kind of like a shape, an internal shape. So the shape of the outer of the orbital muscle is probably going to sync up with the skull, right? The orbital opening of the skull here. And it's going to lay right around the eye. So I'm going to just kind of draw a line right around the eye first. Kind of loop up here. And I think the second line is where the eyelid is. And then this top part is probably going to go up a little higher, right? Because you need muscles to move your eyebrows. So I think that this muscle goes way up beyond the skull opening, the skull socket. And it probably goes a little bit below it. Kind of sits right there on the cheekbone. Okay, so you just want to sort of draw the shape in there first. I'm going to get rid of that one right there. And then you look on the other side and you do the same thing. Now everybody's muscles are going to fit and lay differently on their face. And this is just kind of a generic drawing, right? This is not Amanda Gorman's muscle system. So, but that's why we drew her face first, so that we could at least be somewhat close to what it might be like. And this goes all the way to the side of that jawbone there. And then back around here. So I've just got the shape drawn in first. Now I'm going to actually work on the muscles for these eye sockets before I even do any other lines. Because there's a lot of lines and a lot of value going on already. I don't really want to confuse myself. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm just literally going to blend. I'm not going to totally erase because I might need some of that value. I'm just going to blend out the skull inside that shape that I drew. This is all a process. Okay, so now I have a nice sort of even gray ground inside where I want to work on those muscles. And I'll do the same thing for this side. Okay, so now that I have that sort of delineated, I can go in and actually draw the lines of the muscle. And you'll notice that they sort of orbit around her eye. So they start kind of in this the small part of her eye, and they kind of loop around. And they're sort of thin and close together where the eye creases in. And then they kind of like get a little bit thicker as you move out. And I'll show you how to get some value in there. Again, it comes out from here and it sort of loops around. I'm really looking back and forth quite a bit as I'm working on this. You know, and the muscles, of course, they have to crease, right? Because they move. That's the purpose of it. The muscles help our face move and express and chew and talk and laugh and all of those things. Cry, all of the facial expressions that we have. Wouldn't be able to have them without our muscles. It's a good idea to just start with the lines and then do the blending afterwards. Go slow with this part. Try not to do it fast. You're not making up these lines. You're like using this reference image to try to get them as realistic as you can. I heard a voice, but I'm not sure. I think the audio's not great. You want to put it in the chat?
Miss Graninger,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't me, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Can you, like, unpresent? Because we can't really see your drawing very well.
Oh, sure. Is it tiny? How's that?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay. So I'm going to carry on here. All right, so now that I've got the lines drawn in around the eyes, I'm going to take my blending stump and I'm going to do a little bit of valuing, right? So you notice that the muscles, they not only have, they look three-dimensional because there's shadow in there and there's highlight, so that's what you're kind of going for. Okay, so I'm going to go in there and kind of just run my blending stump over each line. That's a good start. And then I can add more highlight later. This is why it's good to not totally obliterate the tip of your blending stump for little details like this. And then you might notice that it's a little darker under the eye, and that the top set of muscles look a little bit more in highlight. You know, that's all relative, right? Because our muscles are inside, underneath our skin. They're not gonna, but you know, we're thinking about it like visual artists. And we want this to look three-dimensional. Okay, so that's the start, right? We just do the blending of the lines. We're keeping them there, but we're just kind of creating a little bit of shadow. Okay, and then I'm going to take my eraser, and this is where it might be good to have an eraser on the end of a pencil instead of this big eraser, so you can kind of get in there and get little details. So like in between the folds is where you can kind of erase, and that's going to make these little folds look a little bit more three-dimensional if you can add a highlight to them. Just continue to look back and forth at your reference image. Just pay attention to where it's brightest. When you need to brush away the eraser dust, don't sweep it with your hand because you will smear your art. You want to just blow on it. As you advance in your drawing career, if you take drawing 1 or in drawing any other place and you're using charcoal, there's something called fixative, and you can buy workable fixatives. So the fixative will prevent the charcoal from smearing, but you can still continue to draw on it and add to it and erase into it. It's a very handy tool. In fact, I have a giant charcoal drawing I'm working on at home of a big sequoia tree, and I'm using it to measure my son's height as he gets older. Instead of the wall, you know, I'm putting it on this artwork, and I hung it up on the wall, and he just walked up. I didn't even think about this. These are the things you just learn as you're raising a kid, but he just smashed his whole body up against the charcoal drawing and like moved his hands around and smeared it, and he was just covered in charcoal. So I was like, okay, I guess I can't hang that up right now. So I need to buy some fixative for that drawing so that if he touches it, it's not gonna smear everywhere. It's really large. It's like 8 feet tall. Okay, so it's not that complicated to get the muscles. It's just a series of lines that go in a direction and, muscles that have some shape to them. I think the ones that are going to be the most complicated are going to be the ones in this cheek area because they're all shaped kind of like little ribbons. Maybe the ones around the mouth will be complicated. So I'm going to allow you to just go work if you want to. I'm going to continue to demonstrate the rest of the muscles on the face and maybe even a few in the neck. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And if you drop your picture in the feedback discussion post, just give me a shout out that it's there and I will go look at it. And I'll be here for you. So it's, let's see, it's 2:39. You can go work if you want to and come back at 3:20, and then we're going to be posting a WIP, a work in progress, for today. And if anyone is feeling behind or you need me to show you another step other than this one, because maybe you missed it, please let me know. So as I'm going to continue to demonstrate here. So as I'm demonstrating, I'm going to talk about the lips. I am going to actually draw her lips in there. So I'm going to look at her lips, Amanda's lips, not the lips of this sort of generic model on the slideshow. So once I get the outline of where her lips go, I'm going to erase all of this skull and the teeth and everything so I can put the lips in there. But this will help me know where the lips go, right? This is the part. And then this is sort of like where her lower lip would be.
Miss Granger, I just posted for this in the discussion post for feedback. Can you look at it, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop my video here and I'll continue. I wish I could just push pause on these videos, but I don't know if I can do that.